So imagine, think back. It's the year 2000. There's a small startup, two entrepreneurs. They came up with a new technology and they realized this is an opportunity to bring something big to the market. The year before, they decided, are we going to do this ourselves or are we going to sell it? They're like, maybe someone could do this bigger and better than us. And they decided they're going to sell the company. And they offered it for $1 million. Not a lot of money. The buyer said, no, too much money. It's not worth it. So they said, okay, $750,000? Still too much money. So the next year, year 2000, they went to market. They started getting some revenues, started getting some traction, but it's going a little more slowly than they wanted. And they realized to power the business and to boost the revenues, they needed to partner. And not just partner, but partner with someone big. So they looked around, they talked to a few companies, and they decided they're going to partner with a business that was quite large. It was a giant. It was worth $120 billion. And they talked to their board about it, and they decided, let's do this. They crossed their fingers, they signed the terms, and they went to market. Suddenly, that technology was all over the internet. Everyone knew it. People knew the brand. That partner succeeded. Well, for a while. That partner doesn't exist anymore. But that company, the one that couldn't get sold for $750,000, this was the beginning of their story. Their partner that doesn't exist, that's Yahoo. That partner that crossed their fingers and signed the deal, that's Google. Google partnered with a giant to drive their success. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about partnering with giants. How you can partner with a giant to accelerate your growth. My name is Andrew Lindsay. I lead corporate development and business development for HubSpot. You may know us. We're a sales and marketing and service solution for small and medium-sized businesses. And what I want to share with you today is, why are partnerships so important? And what are they really? And if you decide to partner and go down that route, what does it take? How do you partner? How do you identify who the right partner is? And how to get in the door and drive success and to measure that success. And we'll go through some of those key terms as well. So first, what are partnerships? So partnerships are the most fundamental level. They're the opposite of sales. So you may have seen Marvin Liao gave a great presentation earlier around sales for a startup. This is the opposite of that. Sales is when there's one party that's trying to pitch a product to another party. Partnerships is when there's no buyer, no seller. Both parties feel like they're winning, right? Whether or not you're the same size and your peers, or one is much larger than the other, you're in the same industry or you're in different industries. Partnerships are when there's mutual value creation. And they're really important. Think of the largest companies in the world today, the largest tech companies in the world today. They're all partnering their way to success. They're all platforms in a way, whether it's Google or Amazon or Apple or Salesforce. They've all partnered their way to lead their markets. And you'll need to partner in order to be successful too. The days of working in isolation and starting your company in a silo and driving it with your heads down, that doesn't work anymore. Your customers are expecting your products to work with every other product and service that they use in that same area of their life. They're expecting it to work seamlessly. They're expecting to have a solution that is fully integrated with the other solutions in their life. So you need to partner or die. Really, that's a choice you have. At HubSpot, we partner with over 200 different companies. This is an image of our platform partners, those partners who are sitting on our platform, API-based partners. And many of them are quite small. Some of these partners, there's companies with 2 or 3 people. They recognized an issue that HubSpot wasn't solving, and they realized that they could solve it in a distinctive way themselves. And they're partnering their way with us to success. At the same time, as I lead strategic partnerships, I spend a lot of time dealing with companies who aren't the small ones, who look at HubSpot as the giant. I spend time with companies who I look at and say, this company is 200 times larger than we are. Again, that's the Googles and Salesforce. So I have an appreciation for what it's like to be, that small startup, right, looking up at the giant, and also to be that giant who is looking at that small company trying to break their way in. So let's chat about those. I want to give a few examples of partnerships that have really driven success. And one is something that we announced at HubSpot earlier this year. As I said, we're a sales and marketing and service solution, and video is extremely important to that. You all know that. We realized that we needed to have a better video product inside of our application. And we had the choice of either going out and building it ourselves and hiring all the capabilities and the talent to build our own video solution and doing it organically, or we could buy it, and I lead acquisitions, and I was looking at companies considering acquiring our way into the video space. That takes a lot of time, and it's very expensive. There's a lot of risk around acquisitions. So we decided to partner. And we looked out at the market and realized that the best solution for us was not a large company, but a relatively small business based in a small town in Ontario, Canada. And they had a solution that solved our customers' needs. It had a video solution that was perfect for the problem we heard our customers were having, which meant it solved our needs. And for them, suddenly it gave them access to hundreds, really tens of thousands of our customers. So this was a win-win-win. Even though they were a relatively small business, suddenly they had a way to partner to succeed, and we had a way to partner to succeed. And suddenly we have HubSpot Video. Another example, Zynga, the mobile gaming company. Zynga, when it was founded on the Facebook platform. They were completely dependent on Facebook, completely dependent on their partner to succeed. Over time, they evolved, and they had to generate some independence. And so now they've moved off the Facebook platform, and now they're a $3 billion company. But in those early days, they were partnering hard. Another example is DocuSign. I was chatting with them downstairs, and there's a few DocuSign representatives, and talking to them earlier today, and said, how important is this partnership to you? You partnered with Microsoft Office. And they said, it's massive. Our customers know us, and we have credibility partly because of our partnerships, partly because we're integrated into Microsoft in a relatively unique way. And having that relationship and having Microsoft give us that stamp of approval is extremely important. Everyone here has signed a document through DocuSign. Chances are some of you entrepreneurs, you've chased your investors, or someone's chased you trying to get you to DocuSign something. The reason it's so popular, partially, is because of that partnership with Microsoft. They also have a fantastic partnership with Salesforce, and so they've partnered extremely well. And then I mentioned the partnership, maybe the best partnership and the most successful partnership ever between a small company and a giant, that Google and Yahoo partnership, another example of partnering to win. So now, hopefully I've convinced you all of the importance of partnering and of business development. Where do you start? How do you go do it? Well, it depends on what stage of company you're in, of course. Some of you, it's relatively early. You're still looking for product market fit. And you're the CEO, and you're doing everything already. So of course you'll be the one who's leading these partnerships. Others, we're a little further ahead. It's time to hire a business person. And probably not somebody who's focused on BD, but somebody who has a whole swath of skills. Somebody who can lead sales and revenue generation. Somebody who can manage marketing. Someone who can bring money in through corporate development and fundraising. And that person, you should be sure when you're looking at that hire that they understand the importance of relationships and the importance and the distinction between sales and business development, because you will need to understand both. And they'll need to be able to drive that for you. Then after you've gotten to be a little larger and you have a clearer set of goals around partnering and you have a clear path to partnering and you have a clearer flow, you'll hire a specialist. And that person is not going to be cheap. Not just their compensation, but they should be spending a lot of time at events like this. Maybe some of you, I bet, are this person, right? They'll be going to conferences, traveling, building the brand, building relationships. So it really depends on what stage of company you're at as to where you fall in this flow. But this isn't the only set of people in your company who should be thinking about partnering. Once you've decided to go down the route of partnerships, every single person in the company should be thinking about it in some way. Right? You should be thinking about it in a completely cross-functional way. Product and engineering has to be bought in, because when you're partnering, you no longer have the full control over your product roadmap. A lot of companies have a view, especially on the product side, if it's not built here, it's not great. You need to get over that. You need to recognize that timelines are going to be dependent on your partners, and that's part of the product development process when you're working with someone else and you're working with a partner. Similarly, sales and marketing. When you're going to market in a co-distribution relationship and a co-marketing relationship, very early in the process, your sales team needs to be bought in, your marketing team needs to be bought in. They need to be committed to partnering. And not just because the BD person said it, but because you know that this is the path to success for your business. You need to get them involved very early in the process. They need to be committed, and not lip service committed, like, oh, yeah, we should do that. Committed like they are invested in the success of this partnership, just the same way everyone else in the organization is. Finance, of course, and in a few minutes I'll walk through how to think about the numbers for a partnership. And then legal. The essence of partnering and business development deals is that they're customized. Very rarely are you going to have a deal that looks the exact same as another. And so your lawyers, whether it's in-house counsel, you're a little bigger of a company, or if it's your external counsel, it's going to be a bit of a check to write to keep them engaged at the level that's necessary, but it's worth it to have the lawyers involved, making sure all the terms are properly managed, and also go through in some level of detail what those terms should look like. Barney. I think you all know who Barney is. See some people nodding their heads. You know, I love you, you love me, we're a happy family. It's all about warmth and fuzziness and family, people feeling good about each other. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this today, never, ever do a Barney partnership. You know, what does that mean? A Barney partnership is one where at the end of the day, you've signed an agreement, you walk away, your board is happy, but there is no economic benefit. And this is, like, I didn't make up the Barney deal language. That's a real thing. You've got to make sure you do not do Barney deals. They can destroy your business. The amount of time and attention and distraction with little return that can happen from a Barney deal has brought a lot of startups down. It's a real issue. So much so that Paul Graham, you probably know Paul Graham, founder of Y Combinator, he says, for most startups, business development is a waste of time. It's a distraction. I think that's true. I completely agree with that. Most deals that startups do end up being Barney deals. And they spend a lot of time with little financial return. But if you can figure out a way to reduce the time or increase the return, one way to reduce the time is through self-service BD, which is essentially partnering through APIs, a way to unilaterally partner with companies. You don't have to go through the entire relationship building process, but the return tends to be a little bit lower. So you have to be very careful in thinking through ensuring that it's not a Barney deal. And let's walk through the numbers of how deals end up being Barney deals. So, early stage company, you want to partner with the giant, so you want to partner with HubSpot. We're about 50,000 customers, paid customers. Good business development partnership. You can get about 2% attached. That's great. Often it's a little bit less than that. So you're looking at 1,000 customers coming out of this. And let's say you have an annual contract value of $1,000. You're doing pretty well. That's only $1 million. And you're not going to get that $1 million in the first year. That's going to be several years before you get there. So that's not a real return. That's not going to get you to be Google, right? You need to figure out a way to increase either the value of that partnership or increase the number of partnerships by reducing the time. This kind of deal, you do many of these end up being Barney deals, and you're wasting a lot of your time, and you're getting distracted. And you've had your whole team and company bought into it, right? But they're bought into something that's not moving the needle. So the way to get around that is you got to think long and hard about how do you create distinctive value for your partners and your partners' customers. And for every business, it's going to be completely different. But it's the same way when you think about your own value proposition and you're spending time thinking about why do you exist, think about why do you exist for your partner? And what's a story that you can tell them about why you're creating value for them? There are two major types of partnerships. And if it's going to be a non-Barney partnership with real value, it's going to be one of these two major types, and there's 5 of each. One side, it's the sales and marketing and channel partnerships. And on the other side, it is the technology partnerships. On the sales and marketing, there are co-marketing partnerships. And most of you know of these as affiliate deals, right? This is when you're selling a product or service into the same customer base as somebody else, but selling a slightly different service. Right? Second is value-added reseller, when you're packaging, or they're packaging multiple different products into one. Third, white label. For a lot of startups, this can be very challenging because you don't own your brand anymore. Somebody else is branding your product, or you're branding someone else's product. This actually worked pretty well for us at HubSpot. We have an e-signature product that we use a startup for. It's actually been quite successful. Managed service providers. When you have companies who are focused on helping how you go to market or make sure that your customers get a lot of value out of your product. And then distribution. It's the core type of go-to-market partnership. Most technology companies, that's your retailer or it's your marketplace. That's your partner. Amazon is your partner, right? The Google Play Store and Google is your partner. You've got to think about how you create value for them. On the other side, technology partnerships. Your platform company, companies are sitting on top of your platform, or you're on someone else's platform. Strategic integrations, I mentioned Vidyard earlier. That's a pretty deep type of partnership where you're integrating a product directly into each other. The deepest is co-development, when you're actually sitting, your product and engineering teams are sitting beside each other. There's a lot of risk around that, but a lot of reward can be generated as well with a co-development partnership. And then our vertical specialists, when you vertically integrate with another company. If you're going to partner to succeed, you're doing one of these kind of partnerships. So you figured out now what the companies that you want to go after. You figured out what type of partnership you want to do. How do you get there? Well, this is not the time to go through that sales motion of cold calling, of blindly LinkedIn messaging somebody. This is where warm introductions and incredible relationship building is required, where it takes persistence, it takes time going through, meeting everybody you can find who's related to this company. And every single one of them is going to be your ally in this business. They're all going to be telling your story about how you can create value for that company. Right? And you got to be flexible because, remember, you're creating value for them. So you have an idea of what it takes to be successful for them, but it's all really their business. So be assertive around why your business is going to change theirs and create value, but also be flexible in hearing what their problems are so you can help address it. So when you're in the company, you figured out some key people. You've got to be very disciplined about this. It's not just about having a couple relationships. It's about mapping those relationships. Who reports to who? Who's whose peer? How are they influencing each other? There's a lot of strategy around it. This table and this chart is one of our actual partners, one of our key partners. And we speak to over 30 people in the company. And we map it out. And we know when people move and who they shift. In blue are the people that we have a good relationship with, and those are our champions. In white, the people that we don't know quite so well, and we need to build relationships with. And we keep this. Every time we interact with somebody, we manage it. You need to do this. You need to realize who in the organization can say yes. And here's the thing you should know. Key tip. Large giants, anyone with manager or director in their title, when it comes to a real partnership, they can't say yes. They can really only say no. You can find the person who can say yes. And that's a critical part of partnerships. That's different from sales. For sales, you're trying to get to that yes. You're just trying to get as quickly as possible. Someone sign that invoice, get the money in the door. For partnerships, it's about avoiding the no, about working your way through the organization, building the relationships, and keeping every person you're talking with from saying no, they're not going to pass you on. It's about avoiding that no, so eventually you can get to that yes, and eventually you can get to the key terms. So now you've got a partner, you figured out the type of partnership, you've worked with the organization, you know they want to do it, you signed an NDA, and quick thing about that, you haven't been cute about the NDA. Now you've gotten to the key terms. And it was whether it's a term sheet, you started out an MOU, term sheet, you've gotten to a state where you're working through these terms. So let's walk through these each relatively quickly. So the economics. If revenue share, make sure if it's 50-50, it really is 50-50. That there's not some hooks in there. That you can get a guaranteed revenue or a minimum revenue. Sales incentives, distribution deals. Make sure that they're incentivized the same way that you would be, that their salesperson's quota is being retired when they sell your product. Maybe you compensate their salespeople as well. Reporting and metrics. You want to know what success looks like, and you want to be able to measure it. You want to have a directly responsible individual on their side and on yours in the contract who you know is going to be responsible. And that DRI should be a champion. You will know as you've gone through this process who is the enemy, who's resistant, and who's your champion. Figure out that champion and have them in the contract as being your supporter. And you should be checking in every quarter, having a quarterly business review. That should be in the agreement, and what those quarterly business reviews, when they are. Performance and termination. There's going to be clauses around termination for cause. What's the service level agreement? Is it 99% or is it 99.99%? It seems like there's numbers on a page, but a few months in, that could make the difference between the partnership continuing and you being sued for breach. Restrictive covenants. You may be thinking about these partnerships as past acquisition. It's quite smart, right? You've built up relationships with these companies. The information asymmetries have come down. There's a whole series of terms that are related to acquisitions. They may not say that, but that's really what they're about, right? Right of first refusal, that's pretty clear. What about notification rights? Assignment, right? if you're going to be acquired, you want to make sure that the contract can be assigned to your acquirer, or else you may lose a lot of the deal, a lot of the value in it. And then liability, this is where your lawyers, again, are key. You want to manage the downside risk. What happens if there's a major problem? You want to be indemnified. And you certainly do not want to indemnify a large company. Great. You sign the deal, you're done, you're celebrating, you feel good. Job is done, right? Absolutely not. You're just getting started. When you sign that deal, you've just begun. At this point, it's about going out, overperforming. You have that QBR, right? The QBR that's in the agreement. That QBR, you want to blow it out of the water. You want to come in at the first quarter and be like, we have beat expectations by a long shot. That's what your hope is. Now, been in a lot of partnerships, a lot of deals. A lot of times that doesn't happen. The expectation that you had going into it, it's not quite the same after a few months. You should be transparent. Be clear about when things aren't working. They will respect that. People know that not every partnership works, but very transparent and open and communicate. So let's walk through what the key paths are to partnering to success. So first, identify what the infrastructure you need is. How dedicated are you to partnering? Do you have the team around you? Do you have the organization? Is everyone bought into it? What's the opportunity? Which company are you partnering with? What type of partnership is it going to be? You're building the relationships. You're showing value to them. You're getting past no. You're getting to yes. You're closing the deal. Now you've celebrated. You've gone to work. Our co-founder at HubSpot, Dharmesh Shah, says, success is making those who believed in you look brilliant. Partnering with a giant is an opportunity to make another company look brilliant to your success. Thank you.